Hello everyone. Just thought I'd do a little video on my workshop. It's been a while and I thought it was overdue. Some things have changed. Some things, not everything. But if you saw the other videos with my workshop, you saw how I built this inside of my 32 by 50 garage barn. Anyway, it is November 18th, 2023, and I just wanted to touch base and show my workshop. Not show it off, but just show it. So, this table saw is a relatively new addition. It's an older rigid. A couple of videos out there how I put this back into use. And I've used it quite a bit and it's been working just fine. Indirect motor is the way to go. My other rigid with the direct drive motor, that motor was screaming and weak and should have known better. But yeah, this has been working great. The DeWalt compound miter saw, other than the recall, zero issues. Love this saw. Had it for quite a while now, and you know, it sucks because I was cutting through some maple yesterday and didn't see it. And I do a lot of repurpose, reclaim stuff. I should use a metal detector, but I hit a nail. So I toasted my DeWalt blade. And it's only a couple of weeks old, so yeah, not super happy about that. But I read some reviews on these spider blades. So I got one of these today at the big box store. 12 inch, of course, 80 tooth, and longer lasting. Fine finish. So we're going to see how that works out. The DeWalt planer, I've seen a lot of reviews on these. Even though I bought it and it's been working fine for me, I still go back and I look at reviews and see what problems people are having. A lot of people are having issues with snipe. And this lever is supposed to lock it down so it can't move. But I'm going to tell you true, I don't use it. What I did was, you have adjusting bolts here and on the outfeed side. If you get those perfect with the bed of the planer, I'm telling you true, I haven't had a snipe issue. And I actually did see a couple of reviews on this where apparently underneath this cover there's some, I don't know, aluminum or cast, not cast, but what's that, pot metal gears and some chains, and people were showing pictures of the gears broken. And here's my advice: if you have one of these, take a 1/16 and 1/8 inch off at a shot. Don't try and take off a 1/2 inch at one time, especially with hardwoods. I've had this planer for, wow, it's gotta be 5 years. And I swear, even the original blades are still in here and they work just fine. I've got a new set that I bought just in case, and a new hardware kit for mounting it, but I haven't needed them. They're still working just fine. The Porter Cable Bandsaw, and darn it, I can't remember the blade. I believe it's a wolf something. But I actually cut these out of a cherry log. This is a piece of poplar. This is another piece of cherry. And I was more or less, this blade is new to me like a couple of weeks ago. And more or less I was just testing this blade. I will look it up and see what what I bought, and I'll put it in the description. but it's absolutely phenomenal. And if you have one of these, I highly recommend you changing your pulleys to the inside pulleys. It increases the speed and it cuts so much faster and smoother because it runs faster, of course. Yeah, the homemade barrel stove. It's like 34 degrees out. I just shut it down. Well, I let it burn out, I should say, probably 2 hours ago. And this thermometer is off by like 3 or 4 degrees, but it's like just a touch over 50 in here in reality. I have an air conditioning thermometer here that is more accurate. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I have a digital temperature probe, and I had a fire going last year, and I probed this wall behind it, found the hot spots, and I bought these sheets of tin, and I put them over the hot spots, and then I'm embarrassed to show it because it's just absolutely dirty and disgusting. But I put a fan behind this. I plugged the fan in here, no on and off switch, just plug it in, and it circulates the heat through the shop very well. The Shapeoko. I've been into making some cutting boards and so forth. I moved that, and my kitchen area is dead. I'm sorry, I'll be right back. So yeah, apologies, my kitchen area is dead. But I needed a place for the Shapeoko to do juice grooves, and I'm making a couple of cutting boards out of teak that I'm going to engrave sort of like a bowl. They're very long cutting boards, and I'm going to engrave a bowl at the end just beyond the juice groove, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, and my collection of crap is growing pretty well. A couple of other things I made. Did the frames, the wife did the sublimation, some of our own designs. My Arizona license plate. The Cliff Carroll anvil. I can't tell you how happy I am with this. I have a video out there, and I've used this, I'm not going to say a ton, but I've used it quite a bit, and these edges are still perfect. And yeah, it's got a little bit of surface rust on it. There's not a ding in the horn, as opposed to the other anvil I had that I made the video on that they said they don't harden horns. Well, that's just ridiculous, because apparently they do. The rigid joiner sleeps underneath the workbench because I'm so short of room in here, and I use this thing several times a week minimally, and I'm telling you, once it's set up correctly, original blades, I love it. Absolutely zero complaints. My NC Forge, again, I use it obviously about as much as I do the anvil. Still has the original packing material, and it looks like I might have a mouse in there. Haven't used it in several weeks, but yeah, something's chewing it up. Well, other than the Mises, no complaints whatsoever. It's been working perfectly. The rigid oscillating belt sander, the same thing. I don't know, maybe I get lucky, but I've seen some reviews where people absolutely hate this sander. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. As long as you adjust your bed to be 90 degrees to your sander, there's nothing to complain about. It works perfectly. The Ryobi drill press, it's underpowered. However, the collet is straight and the drill's straight. Just take your time, and it's been okay. I know I made a video about this with the plastic pulleys, and I threatened to change them with metal. But again, if you just take your time, you're good to go. I'm a patient guy. The only thing I don't really like is, if you can see where the laser is, it's way down here, and where the hole is, where the bit's going to go through, is way up here. Maybe there's an adjustment. I really haven't looked for it, but that's my only real complaint with this Ryobi. The Bosch router table, it's just a little guy, but for what I do, it works fine. I don't need anything super expensive or extravagant. And the DeWalt router, easy to adjust. I don't need any turn the screw to raise the bit height, lower it. It just takes a second to open the door, unlock it, adjust it to where you want it, and you're good to go. The Century 120 volt welder, I really don't use this very often. I don't have a lot of call for welding, but when I'm doing like horseshoe art and things like that, it comes in ridiculously handy. And this has got to be 5 years old, maybe even 6 now. And again, no problems. It works exactly the way it should for what I need it for. As a matter of fact, I actually fixed the gate, the fold-down gate ramp on a trailer for someone, and that's got to be 2 years ago, and I just saw them a couple of weekends ago, and they said it was still good to go. So, and it's cheap. The rigid air compressor, quiet compressor. This thing has been used to death. Still works every single day. Still builds up pressure. Still works on 120. Never tripped a breaker. Yeah, very happy. So yeah, the shop is quite the nightmare as far as being clean and organized goes. I was in the military, and this would, funny story, they call them red line inspections, and that was in boot camp. You had so many hours to get the barracks clean, get your personal artifacts clean, folded, creased, pressed, and so on. And then the drill sergeant would come in, and he would inspect everybody. And God forbid you failed this red line. So he told us one day, I think there were 3 of them throughout boot camp, and he told us one day, he said, if you pass this red line, he says, I'm going to give you all the 24-hour pass into town, which would have been San Antonio, Texas. We'd have been probably 2 months into training, and my God, that was like getting $1 zillion in gold bullion. So we worked like dogs. I mean, everything was perfect, or so we thought. So when it was time for the inspection, the drill sergeant came in, and they had he's called the house mouse. He's appointed by the drill sergeant. He does like all the menial tasks that the drill sergeant doesn't want to do. So he yells for the house mouse. House mouse comes up, shut the lights off. Drill sergeant has a flashlight. He sets it on the ground, and you could see the shadows from all the little particles on the floor against the wall. They were like 2 feet high. And he said, oh, you guys, you were so close. That's a shame. Changing your PT gear, we're going to do a 3-mile run. So, yeah, there's no way my workshop would... I would just not even try. But once a week, I do sweep up and vacuum and try to keep things clean. So these are a few things that we've been busy with, and I sell on Etsy, and I have my own website, but honestly, things are a little slow this year, and my website really never did well because I think it's because it's not like an advertise. You don't see it on TV or, you know, in news articles or whatever the case may be, and people are a little bit cautious about putting in their information on sites like that. But even Etsy has just been kind of slow. These are something that I started to make. These are hammer hooks. And these are kind of, I don't want to say difficult to make, but you have to be careful on how you harden them. Because what you do is, this is for obviously like a barn or a garage. This area here, you would put this into where you want this hook and hammer it into the wall. It comes to a point like an old style nail. You hammer it into the wall and then you use it as a hook. But where you have to be careful is if you over harden it, they'll break. If you under harden it, they'll bend. So you have to really pay attention to, you know, finalizing this once you have your shape. And I just kind of do a bunch of weird shapes. And these at one time were a great seller, but this year they're just kind of not a great seller. I make wooden snowmans for Christmas, and everybody paints the nose on sideways or puts a board on sideways, and I think that looks just hideous. So I take these plastic carrots, take out this little fake stem, I drill a hole through the board, put a screw in, and then you can screw the nose on so it sticks out like you would expect to see in, you know, a real snowman. We've been busy making some whimsical things, and I'm not going to name any political parties because that's, I know better. Some wooden mallets, we make these, and this one kind of, I made this out of necessity with this weird angle because I actually had a project one time where this would have been a huge benefit. So I thought I would try it, and it turned out really well. Maple and walnut, a walnut wedge. Charcuterie boards, I love making these things. Paddock, black walnut, Purple Heart maple, black walnut, blah blah blah. These are usually a pretty good seller. Again, a charcuterie board, and this is Purple Heart maple walnut and Purple Heart. I don't drill holes in the handles. I don't think people are bringing these home and driving a nail in their kitchen wall and hanging them up. So I opt to not do that. And these need to be oiled yet. And let me tell you what, when these have a coat of oil on them, they are going to glisten. A smaller cutting board, and this is black walnut and maple. And on cutting boards, I tend to put feet on them. And I use rubberized feet with stainless steel hardware. I like to cook, and there's nothing more irritating than having to slide your cutting board off the edge of your table or center island or whatever to, you know, pick it up. This is actually a cheese board that I made with all the leftovers from all of these boards that I made and some others. And again, it's basically your Purple Heart Paddock, black walnut, maple, and different, you know, angles, 90s, and same thing with the feet. This one is just basically glued together with food safe waterproof glue. Now all these bigger boards, and I've researched this, and the majority of people that make these just edge glue them, clamp them, and finish them. See, I don't have a lot of faith in too many things, so I do biscuit joints. I can tell you for sure there's one here and here, one here and here. And I believe that not only helps with warping, but I believe it makes a stronger joint because you're going into the wood as opposed to, you know, kind of edge gluing it. Same thing with these. These are all biscuit jointed. Biscuit jointed. But that's... last thing you want to do, in my opinion, is to be making things like this to sell, and then you get an email that says, my cutting board you sold me broke in two, or warped out the kazoo, or something hideous like that. But anyway, I won't bore you anymore. Just a quick video. I guess it really wasn't that quick. And you know the good news, I think it's only 37 days or something like that to Christmas. The solstice will be coming up soon, the shortest day of the year. Then we'll be downhill from there. Every day it'll be a minute or so lighter every day. Guys, Thanksgiving's coming up. I don't know if we'll talk prior to that, but just enjoy your holiday. And we will talk soon, though. Take care, guys.